Do you remember the summer of 1958? The sound of jukeboxes playing softly in the background, and the gleam of classic Chevrolets, and the sweet taste of cherry soda on a warm July evening. Life was simpler then. People held hands, looked into each other's eyes, and wrote letters that carried the very weight of their souls. In a small town in Ohio lived a young woman named Eleanor. With her bright eyes and a heart full of dreams, she spent her afternoons working at the local diner. And that is where our story begins. The story of a love so pure it belonged to the golden era, and a heartbreak that lasted a lifetime. Thomas was a quiet boy from the neighboring farm. He wasn't loud, but his eyes spoke volumes. Every day at exactly 4 p.m., Thomas would walk into the diner, sit at the counter, and order a single cup of black coffee just to see Eleanor smile. Their love didn't happen overnight. It grew like a slow, beautiful melody. They spent their weekends at the drive-in theaters, sharing popcorn under the starlit sky, listening to Buddy Holly on the radio. Thomas promised Eleanor that no matter where life took them, they would build a small white house with a porch where they could grow old together. It was a simple American dream. But the late 1950s and 60s were times of great change and uncertainty. In the autumn of 1959, Thomas's family faced a sudden, devastating financial crisis, forcing them to move across the country to California overnight. In those days, there were no smartphones, no instant messages. Long-distance communication was a luxury many couldn't afford. The night before he left, Thomas rushed to the diner to see Eleanor one last time. But she wasn't there. Desperate, he wrote a letter on a piece of notebook paper, pouring his heart out. He left it with the diner owner, begging him to give it to Eleanor. The letter said, "Eleanor, I have to leave, but my heart stays with you. Meet me at our favorite spot by the old oak tree in 5 years. On this exact date, I will come back for you. Yours forever, Thomas." But fate played a cruel game. The diner owner misplaced the letter. Eleanor never received it. When Thomas left, Eleanor felt abandoned. She wept for months, wondering why the boy who promised her the world had vanished without a single goodbye. Years turned into decades. The 1960s brought rock and roll and societal shifts. The 1970s came and went. Eleanor eventually moved on, married a kind man, and raised a beautiful family. But in the quiet corners of her heart, the memory of Thomas and the summer of 1958 remained like an unfinished song. She always wondered, why did he leave? Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in California, Thomas stood under that old oak tree 5 years later, waiting for hours in the rain. Eleanor never showed up. Heartbroken, assuming she had forgotten him, he eventually walked away, carrying the pain of a broken promise for the rest of his life. 50 years later, in the year 2008, the old diner was being demolished to build a modern shopping complex. An old wooden counter was broken down, and there, trapped in a hidden crevice beneath the floorboards, was a dusty, yellowed envelope. It had Eleanor's name on it. A local historian tracked down Eleanor, who was now a grandmother, living a quiet life. When she received the faded envelope and opened it with trembling, wrinkled hands, time stood still. As she read the words written in Thomas's youthful handwriting from 1959, tears streamed down her face. She realized he hadn't abandoned her. He had waited. They both had loved, and they both had suffered through a lifetime of misunderstanding. Thomas had passed away just 2 years prior, never knowing the truth. But as Eleanor held the letter to her chest, she closed her eyes and smiled through her tears. In her heart, she was back in 1958, sitting at the diner, looking at the boy who loved her. The world had changed, but their love from the golden era remained beautiful, tragic, and eternal.